Across to now, our special guest joining us live at this point, NDRF DG and Pradhan joining us live at this point. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Republic TV. And we do know, and as you stated earlier as well, over 1 lakh people have been evacuated ahead of Cyclone Nisarga. Can we now say that the worst part of the cyclone is over and we have managed to tackle it efficiently?
I think the litmus test was the saving of lives. That was priority number one. And I think in the terms of saving of lives, I think we may have succeeded to a great extent, although it remains to be seen and confirmed whether any lives have been lost. It takes some time always to find out whether lives have been lost. But one thing is clear that it was anticipated well, it was planned for well, and the coordination between the state and the central governments was good. So we have been able to ensure that there is minimal loss of life and property, and that was the aim to start with. And the NDRF teams will still be on standby and will continue to assist the state government for restoration work. So it's a long haul nowadays. When we go for cyclone duty, it's a long haul. We are still continuing in West Bengal post Ampan. So this will be also a few days more in Maharashtra. The impact has been mostly in Raigad district where the cyclone made a landfall. Raigad, Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri and Palghar would be the districts which would be said to be most affected. But it remains to be seen how much property is damaged. It will require a proper survey to assess that. And but I'm happy that at least so far no loss of life has been reported. And even if it happens subsequently, I think it will still be the minimal possible.
Absolutely, sir. Another question to you, sir. As you stated that saving lives was a topmost priority at this point. So how many people have been evacuated so far? If you can give us an exact number, as well as how many of your teams are also on standby to make sure that, as you stated, that the post-cyclone period, when the restoration work happens, that is to be done?
The situation right now is that the reports that have come in is that the damages have been mostly in terms of the falling trees. Maybe they have fallen on vehicles, on property, on houses. Some houses have been damaged, especially with the temporary roofs. There has been damage to electric infrastructure and telephone infrastructure. So that will have to be covered. But the NDRF 43 teams were deployed across the two states, 21 in Maharashtra and 16 in Gujarat, with the rest on the standby. They will all be pressed to service in right earnest, and they will assist the respective states in the recovery process.
All right. In fact, sir, another question to you. If we compared this particular cyclone Nisarga to cyclone Ampan, did we take our lessons as well from the impact that was seen in West Bengal and how the aftermath really was worst? And if we compare it to Maharashtra, it has had a much lower impact. So were there lessons learned from that as well?
Let me flag one issue that for everybody, and that is that the cyclone response or a disaster response is actually the mandate of a state government as per these statutory rules. And if the state government is the mandated agency, then the state government agencies have to take the lead. All the agencies of the central government go in assistance, and they assist as per the requirement and the strategy of the state government. So that has happened, but sometimes the assessment by the state government sometimes goes awry, and I would again underscore and underline the fact that disaster governance is now supposed to be mainstream of governance, is the center stage of governance. It is not an exception, it should be the rule. And the better the disaster governance in a state, the better will be the normal governance. So this is something that has to be internalized by the state machinery across the country. And I believe that in this case, we must not compare Amphan with this, because it is half the speed. The preparation and the preparatory meetings, and the fact that the Home Minister had a one-to-one with the chief ministers before the cyclone could happen, or the day of the cyclone. All in all, it suggested that both the central government and the state governments were on the same page right from the day one and continue to be on the same page. And that, I think, has made a difference.
Mr. Pradhan, I'm very, very happy that you mentioned that disaster management and disaster relief team. Now, if I think I heard you right, you said that it's about time that disaster management and you said disaster should be part of the governance model going forward. I want to ask you, Mr. Pradhan, do you think 2 or 3 crises in the last 2 or 3 months that we've gone through? One is COVID-19, and then you had Cyclone Umphun, and then now we've just been through, and hopefully it should be over in a few hours. That's Cyclone Nisarga. Do you think the 3 incidents have changed and enforced the need for permanent disaster governance as a permanent feature of Indian politics? Because I can tell you, Mr. Pradhan, personally, I know that that is not a permanent feature. It's a contractual. It happens on a contractual basis, and I can show you instances where many people have written to Republic TV saying that we are used as contractual workers. But today, do you think it's time that we as a nation pay more attention to disaster relief management and resources?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we must also not forget that till 2005 we did not have a disaster management ecosystem, and it took us 3 big disasters, one after the other: the super cyclone of '99, the tsunami of 2004, and in between the Bhuj earthquake in 2001. Three big events, 10,000 plus casualties in each of them. It took 3 such events in a space of 5 years to wake us up literally and bring the disaster management ecosystem. And since then, we have traveled a long way. But I fully agree with you that there is still a longer way to go, and we have to seal the deal in the sense that, so to say, that every state, every disaster response today is actually the situation where every hand should be on the deck. Every hand, public, private, army, navy, police, everybody has to be on the deck. And that is something that we have to sew it together, and the governments, both at the state and the central level, have to lead this way. And that is the only way to go.
And one last question, Mr. Pradhan. And, we also have a live camera showing how maybe the worst is over in Mumbai. But, at one point when the landfall happened, and even before that, in fact, since last evening, we spoke about, and we also showed pictures of how the NDRF and all your boys and, everyone who's involved in your team, being out there immediately after you got an indication of Cyclone Nisarga coming. We spoke about it earlier today about how frontline warriors include the NDRF and everyone who has been at the forefront, first at, with Cyclone Umphun and now Cyclone Nisarga. What are you hearing from your staff about the impact of Cyclone Umphun? From the ground, what's your review?
Well, Umphun was bad. Umphun was in the sense that it was an extremely severe cyclone at landfall, and unlike Nisarga is I would say a negotiable cyclone. Umphun was difficult, and Umphun had the issue of being very, very tough when it landed, very tough to negotiate. And we must remember that it landed in an area which is a poor area, coastal districts where fishermen's villages and poor people live. And obviously they bore the brunt of the damage, and all the kacha houses were destroyed. And it will take some time for the infrastructure, the housing, everything to be back to normal. But to put it in a word, to sum it up, Umphun was a very, very highly difficult cyclone to negotiate, and even at point of landfall, it was an extremely severe cyclone, and it did the damage that is expected from an extremely severe cyclone.
It's such strange times, isn't it, Mr. Pradhan? Because that term, negotiable cyclone, I just got onto that term. Only if all cyclones were negotiable. And I should say that the IMD has had a record of getting it right every time. And even with Cyclone Umpun, the kind of relief that happened, how many people it was, an evacuation that included 5 lakh and 6 lakh Odisha and Bengal included. If only we knew, or we hoped it worked. Negotiable cyclones. Thank you very much, Mr. Pradhan, for speaking to Republic TV, and thank you for ensuring that the people along the western coast are safe.
Thank you.